Hey y'all. Today's lesson is point slope. And I'm just wondering if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Point slope form. We in class have talked about slope-intercept and we've talked about standard form. So just a quick review. Slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. M is your slope. Let me change marker colors. M is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Your y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. In standard form, we did standard form when we talked about intercepts, like the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And standard form looks like ax plus by equals c, and x and y is your ordered pair, like in the line or the solution. And so whenever you've been given an equation in standard form, we've talked mostly about using the intercepts or converting it to slope-intercept. So there's a third form, and it's called point slope. And when you get into algebra or geometry, I know you'll use point slope a lot, and a lot of teachers love point slope. And so point slope looks like this. I feel like I have something in my nose. Point slope formula looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m x parentheses x minus x1. So let me break it down for you. The m, again, is your slope. The m is your slope. The x and the y, just the regular x and y, the x and the y are going to be x and y in your equation, x and y in your equation. Notice all these equations have an x and a y, x and a y, and x and a y. The x1 and the y1 are going to be your ordered pair. Your ordered pair that you're given in the problem. Your ordered pair that you're given in the problem. So those are going to be the numbers, the x1 and the y1, that we're going to put into the equation. But this first this first y and this first x are going to stay x and y, just like in direct variation has an x and a y, and slope-intercept has an x and y. Point slope also has an x and a y. That just stays there. So let's get started with some examples. All right, example 1. All right, example 1, write an equation in point slope form. So that's the whole point, is we're trying to do point slope form. So a line that passes through this point, -2, 3, and has a slope of 4. So we're just going to put it into our equation, and we're not actually simplifying or doing anything just yet. So when you have a point, I would recommend you label x1, y1, so we don't get anything confused. And then we already know this is our slope. So let's start off with the form. I'm going to come over here. So I'm going to encourage you to write the form every time. Now we can substitute our numbers in. We can put our numbers in. So I have y minus y1, and y1 is 3. Then the slope, m, is 4. And then x minus, and x1 is -2, so minus -2. Okay? Now, do you see anything that we could maybe simplify? Something very small, but do you see something we could simplify? And the answer is yes. I hope you see that right here, this minus and negative, we don't want to write minus and negative. So all we're going to do is we're just going to clean that up a little bit to x plus 2. Okay? Don't write minus and negative. It's going to be x plus 2. So that's your answer. That is an equation in point slope form. Y minus y1, which is 3, equals m times x minus x1. And if you saw this equation, because there's a plus, hopefully that would trigger and go, oh, that means the x-coordinate has to be negative because it says x plus 2. All right, here's another problem, another equation. A line that passes through, so here's our point, x1, y1. I don't think you can see that green very well. Just trying some different colors. And then the slope of -1/2. Ooh, that one's almost out. So let's put it into our equation, our point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m, so yeah, m, and then x minus x1, which is -1. So remember, minus a negative is really going to be a positive. And so just, you're putting it all into point slope form, and then we're leaving it right here. This is point slope form. We're not doing anything with it just yet. So those are a couple of examples of how to write an equation in point slope form. Okay. Example 2. Example 2, write an equation in point slope and slope-intercept. So I'm going to show you how it's really simple to go from point slope to slope-intercept, and at different times you're going to want to use the different equations, particularly if you want the slope. They both give you the slope, but the question is, do you want a point or do you want the intercept? And then you're going to have to kind of figure out like which equation do you want. So we have 2 together and then a you try. So A, write an equation in point slope and slope-intercept if it passes through these 2 points, 8, 1 and -2, 9. So here is what we're going to do. First, we need to find m. All right, so we have 2 points. You know a slope formula. You've already taken a quiz on a slope formula. We're going to subtract y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2, 9, minus 1 over -2 minus 8. And then actually you should be working this with me. 9 minus 1 is 8. -2 minus 10 is -10. So 8 over -10, you can use your calculator. It should reduce to -4/5. So that's our slope. M equals. That's our slope, -4/5. Now I'm going to put it into my equation, and I'm going to put it into point slope. I have 2 points. You just need to pick one. I'm just going to pick this first one. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but I'm just picking the first one because it's there. So I'm going to put it into y minus 1 equals m x minus x1, and so that's just 8. So there is my equation in point slope. And I'm just going to write point slope up here one more time. Y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1, and then slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. So part 1, I've written it in point slope. Now the next part says write it in slope-intercept. So I'm going to take my point slope, and I'm just going to convert it to slope-intercept. And what I do is it's like kind of solving an equation. I'm going to distribute this -4/5. So watch what I do. Y minus 1. I'm just bringing that down. -4/5 times x. -4/5 times x is -4/5 x. And then I'm going to multiply -4/5 times -8. So a negative times a negative is going to be a positive. And then -4/5 times 8 is, or -4/5 times -8 is 32 over 5. There's no problem. You can use your calculator and it's going to give you a decimal, and then you can change it back to a fraction, but I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. It's not bothering me. It's not hurting me. And in order to go all the way to slope-intercept, I need y by itself, and we've practiced this. I need y to get by itself, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And then my final answer is y equals -4/5 x plus 37 over 5. And if you're not sure where I got that 37, this plus 1 is like plus 5 over 5 because it's 1 holds. But you have a calculator. I'm not going to take the time right now in 8th grade to go back and review fractions with you. Ooh, so we have 2 answers, point slope and slope-intercept. So here we go to B. First thing we need to do is we need to find the slope of these 2 points. So to find the slope, I'm going to subtract -3 minus 0 over 6 minus 3. And I get -3 over 3, which is -1. So that is my slope. And again, I need to pick a point. I'm just going to pick the first point. And I get y minus 0. So if it's y minus 0, I don't need to write y minus 0. Equals m, which is -1, x minus 3. That's my equation and point slope. That's my equation and point slope. Now to convert it to slope-intercept, I'm going to distribute that -1, negative x plus 3, because it's a negative times a negative. And then my y is already by itself. It's already in slope-intercept form. And there we go. Okay? So you try C. I want you to find the slope, put it in point slope, and put it in slope-intercept. Pause the video, and I really do want you to try this one on your own. All right. So the here we go. The slope is going to be -10 minus 2 and 5 minus -1, which would be 5 plus 1. I'm just doing it up here because I didn't have room on my board. -12 over 6, which is -2. So my slope is -2. I hope you got -2 for your slope. And I'm going to just pick the first point, which was -1, 2. So y minus 2 equals -2, x plus 1. That is your equation and point slope. Check your equation and point slope. And then to put it in slope-intercept, I need to distribute -2x minus 2, -2 times x, and then -2 times 1. And now I need to bring this over. So y equals -2x, and then -2 plus 2 would be 0. So my equation in slope-intercept is y equals -2. All right, so I hope you got that one. All right, we have 2 more problems for you. All right, example 3. Example 3. I'm going to erase this because I can see it behind me. All right. The cost of assistance dog training session is shown in this table. Write an equation and point slope to represent the cost y of attending X dog training session. So it just says point slope. We don't need to do slope-intercept. It just says point slope. And again, we have to find the slope. We need to find the slope by subtracting y minus y over x minus x. Y minus y over x minus x. And when you do this, you can use your calculator again. You come out to get like, I don't know, what is this? This is 5, is this 125? Which is, the slope should be 25. And what this slope means is it costs $25 per session. $25 per dog session. Now that I have the slope, I pick a point. I'm just picking the first point, and I'm going to put it into point slope. Y minus 165 equals 25, x minus 5. Again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's it for your point slope. You found the slope, and then you put it into your form. All right, last one is a you try. All right, pause it, you try it, and then press play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay. The cost for making spirit buttons is shown. Write an equation and point slope to represent the cost y of making X buttons. So if I'm going to make 100, it's cost $25. If I make 150, it's cost $35. I need to find the slope. So I'm going to subtract y minus y over x minus x. And this is my slope. 10 over 50, which is 1/5. Now, the slope is 1/5. That means rise over run. But in this real world context, since we're talking about cost, you would say 0.20 cents. So the slope is 1/5, but if you said interpret it, it would be 20 cents per button. So that's a difference between when to use a fraction and when to use a decimal. But we're going to use a fraction for our purposes right now. You can use 1/5. So y minus, pick a point. I'm going to just pick this first point. Y minus 25 equals m, our slope, and then x minus 100. Okay, so I know that was quick. I hope you have all this work done on your notes, but we will practice more point slope in class.